You ever wonder if the biggest moments in history, the ones that change everything, could really just hinge on something tiny? Like a single word said at the wrong time? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to look at how one single, shocking sentence could have been the spark that plunged an entire continent into war. I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? A war that leads to millions of casualties, redrawn maps, fallen empires, all because of a few poorly chosen words? It seems impossible, but let's follow the chain of events and see for ourselves. So our story starts not on some muddy battlefield, but in one of those fancy, gilded halls of power. It's a state dinner, actually, and it's supposed to be easing tensions between two rival nations. Keyword there is supposed to be. Wow. Just think about the sheer audacity of that. Picture the scene, right? Everyone's being polite, glasses are clinking, and then this bombshell gets dropped across the dinner table. It's a direct public shot at the monarch. In a room where every single word is calculated, this wasn't just an insult. It was like pulling the pin on a political grenade. And the fallout was immediate. No apologies, no, I misspoke, nothing. The diplomat was kicked out the very next day. This wasn't seen as one guy's mistake, it was seen as an official statement from his entire country. And just like that, the first domino was pushed over. But here's the crucial thing. An insult, even one that's shocking, can't start a war all by itself. See, this didn't happen in a vacuum. It was more like throwing a lit match into a room that was already filled to the ceiling with gunpowder. The whole continent was basically a powder keg just waiting for a reason to explode. For years, all the major powers had been building towards something like this. You had nationalism at a fever pitch, every country thinking they were the best. They were all building up huge armies and navies, trying to outdo each other. And lurking just beneath the surface was this tangled mess of secret alliances, these hidden promises to have each other's backs. It was an absolute tinderbox. And this table really shows you how clean the battle lines were already drawn. You basically had two giant armed camps just staring each other down, the Triple Entente on one side, the Central Powers on the other. And because of all those secret treaties, a little fight between, say, the Empire and the Kingdom would automatically drag the Republic, the Dominion, and everybody else into the mess. Any local squabble was practically guaranteed to go global. So the stage is set, the spark has been lit, and what came next was this horrifying, almost predictable cascade of events. It was a chain reaction that, once it got going, nobody seemed to be able to stop. Just look how fast this all happens. First, an ultimatum is sent, one with impossible demands that was designed to be rejected. And yep, it's rejected. That immediately triggers step 2. An ally, the Dominion, starts mobilizing its huge army. Well, the Empire sees that as a direct threat. So boom, step 3, it declares war. And just like that, step 4, all those tripwires from the secret alliances are pulled, and the entire continent is at war in a matter of weeks. And the result of that insult, of that unstoppable chain reaction? An estimated 20 million people dead. Soldiers and civilians. A whole generation basically wiped out by the fire that followed that one single spark. So, what's the point of all this? What can we possibly learn from such a tragedy? Well, this isn't just a grim history lesson. It's a really powerful example of a scientific idea that affects everything, from the weather to our own daily lives. It's called the butterfly effect. You've probably heard of it. The idea that a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil could eventually cause a tornado in Texas. Our story, this story of the fatal insult, is a perfect and absolutely devastating human example of that exact theory at work. And that brings us to the biggest takeaway here. The insult didn't cause the war. Not really. The conditions for war were already there. The arms race, the nationalism, those secret treaties, that was the fragile system. The insult was just the butterfly. It was the tiny initial shove that sent the whole thing crashing down. It reminds us that tiny actions can have huge consequences, but usually only when the system around them is already about to break. So, that leaves us with a pretty heavy question to think about. When you look at the world today, with all of its own tensions, where are the modern powder kegs? And what seemingly small sparks, a tweet, a trade dispute, a single insult, could be the thing that ignites a future we can't even predict?